Hi, and welcome to this episode of Filmi Ladies. I'm your host Pitu, and I'm joined by my co-host and friend Beth. And today we have a spooky episode for you. We wanted to watch Indian zombie movies, and there really aren't very many. There's a lot of horror flicks, and we've certainly seen our fair share of those. And Beth and I will be talking about those because spooky season. But as far as zombie films are concerned, I pretty much only know two. Go Goa Gone, which is the Saif Ali Khan, Kunal Khemu, Veer Das starrer from 2013, if I'm not mistaken, and the recently released Marathi zombie movie called Zombivli. So we watched those two, and we basically wanted to talk about zombie movies and spooky stuff from Indian cinema. So, Beth, what did you think of these two movies?
I really love them both. I had seen Go Goa Gone in the cinema. I have not seen the sequel to it, which came out last year. I can't find it streaming anywhere, but I would watch it. And then this Marathi one, I didn't know at all. I think I have seen one Marathi film. So this was really
Which
cool.
one, Sarat?
No, I saw the original that Aya is based on, which is a short.
Oh, okay. Gandh or something. I haven't seen that one.
Yeah. I really love both these movies, and I was really impressed with how different they are from each other. Like they feel very specific and like they are doing their own things. And I'm not a zombie expert by any means, but they both felt like they had, cultural specificity, and it wasn't just like importing an idea and doing something brain dead with it. So I really liked them. What did you think?
First of all, I love that you said you're not an expert on zombie movies because I was like, are there people out there who are experts in zombie movies or better yet, zombies?
Yes.
Well, we should befriend these people. I want to be friends with them.
Well, and also I do have a chapter in a book on Bollywood horror films, but I didn't write about zombies. So I don't know.
Right. Well, I just found it interesting because it's like there's so many horror movies, right? There's so many Indian horror films, whether it's Hindi or regional or whatever, and we'll come to those. But zombies as like a subgroup of horror films doesn't seem to have been particularly used in Indian cinema, and I wonder why that is. Is there just something inherently off-putting about undead people eating people's brains? Is that it?
Well, so part of it, I think, is if a zombie is a dead person who has risen, when you have a vast majority of people cremating the dead, you're not going to have as many corpses, right? But obviously there's still millions and millions of non-Hindus and other people who don't cremate in India, but like overall the vast majority of people cremate. So I think that's got to be reason number one.
So zombies are technically dead, are they?
I think, well, if you do it that way. Now obviously like the people in Go Goa Gone and Zombivli are not rising from the dead. They are just, infected.
Right.
Yeah. So I think it kind of depends on what your definition of zombie is.
Gotcha. To answer your question, I enjoyed both movies a lot. And like you said, they were both so different, which I enjoyed. It didn't feel like they were both like just saying the same things over and over.
Yeah.
And they were so different from something like Walking Dead, which I'm not a fan of. I know a lot of people who love Walking Dead, but I've seen maybe like 2 episodes of the first season. And I was like, yeah, this isn't my jam. So I like that they were so different. What I loved about Go Goa Gone was the characters were so well written. I love the 3 boys that are like friends, and they were so funny, and they were these potheads and impulsive and silly and adorable. And they just keep like hurtling from one disaster to the other. But I have to say, I was disappointed with Saif. I thought he let the movie down. I just felt like he hammed as Boris, the Delhi guy. Yeah, he was very hammy. And I was just kind of like, when Kunal Khemu, who admittedly is a very good actor, when Kunal Khemu is completely overshadowing you, and even Veer Das is overshadowing you, I'm like, you're doing something wrong, man. But I enjoyed it a lot. I also went down a rabbit hole where I was trying to understand what things repel zombies, because in Go Goa Gone, cocaine apparently repels them.
Which I had completely forgotten and thought was hilarious.
Is that a thing? I don't know. I'm not a zombie hunter, in case you didn't know that. But yeah, but then in Zombivli, apparently the thing that like freezes them or whatever, and like they suddenly stop is water.
Spoiler alert.
Oh, yes. I think I think at this point, every single episode of ours should just come with like a spoiler. In fact, we'll inform you if there are no spoilers
There we
because
go.
there will
Okay.
be no spoilers. Yeah.
Yeah, water,
I
which was
also,
very creative.
yeah, so they were like, so Go Goa Gone was like, oh, you put cocaine on zombies. Very, very expensive method of eliminating zombies, if I may say.
True, true.
And then Zombivli had the much more budget-friendly zombie repellent, which was water, much cheaper, I would say. But both the plots of the movies were really interesting, and I loved Ameya Wag's character in Zombivli. He's actually a really good Marathi theater actor, and I've seen a lot of his plays. And he was just so adorable as this like bumbling, cute, innocent little person who's got caught in this like disaster of epic proportions that he has no idea what to do. So I like that as well. And I like the kind of like the hominess of like this little suburb and all of that, where Go Goa Gone felt more sort of expansive.
Mm. Let me ask you, as a person with a lot of Mumbai experience, I really liked how both these movies used very specific different locations. And I was wondering what felt to you that was Mumbai-ish about the one set there, because obviously Goa, like you had foreigners who they directly name as bringing the zombie, like bringing the thing and infecting everybody, which was very funny. You have them contained on an island, which you think is gonna save the day in the end, but then I'd forgotten the end of this too, that at the end it's like, oh shit, it's on the mainland too,
Right.
And then the party atmosphere, the fact that it's all very young people, and everything. So that was all very cool and specific. So how did you feel the specificity of the location worked for Zombivli?
It didn't actually seem particularly Mumbai to me, not in the sense that, say, Darlings was. I mean, Darlings was a very like, this is Mumbai. Like within the first 5 minutes of that movie, I was like, this is Baikala. And apparently that is where it was shot, or at least where it was set. I didn't get that sense from Zombivli at all. I mean, instead of Zombivli, it could have been some other city and it wouldn't have made as much of a difference. I did like all the different characters in it, where it was like you had the guy who owns the factory, who's like the bad guy, and then the guy who runs the factory, and then Ameya Wag's character, he's just caught in this like web. But I didn't necessarily feel that it was like Mumbai specific. They literally could have shot this movie anywhere and it would have worked.
I was shocked at how well, at least as far as I was understanding from subtitles, that the virus was contained, because it seems like in a city like Mumbai that would actually be impossible. And it's like, oh, we shut down a few highways so everything is contained. You're like, I don't think but I mean, for storytelling it was great, and they could keep it. I mean, part of me thinks that they decided on the setting because they came up with a pun for the name, right? And then they backformed it, but that's fine.
Right. I did like that both movies were comedies, because I think I think that is actually the genre of horror that I enjoy the most, because I do like horror movies. It's just I'm a coward, and so if you make like full-on horror, then I will get traumatized and I will get nightmares. So at least if it's like comical and you have like these silly characters, like Go Goa Gone has these like brats, or if it has the funny characters that Zombivli has, then it's better for me, because I think the best Indian horror film I've seen in my life was hands down Tumbad. Have you seen it? Okay, so that's another Marathi movie you've seen. It was terrifying.
That's true. Yeah, it is terrifying.
But it's so good. I mean, it's one of the best films I've seen, like just across the board, but it's terrifying and I never want to watch it again. And I'm so glad I didn't see it on the big screen.
Oh, no. That is not for Beth.
This kind of horror comedy works for me. It's the most my heart can take. Do you like other horror comedies? Like, how do you feel about Stree and Bhool Bhulaiya and Bhool Bhulaiya 2 and Ruhi and all of those?
I've not seen Bhool Bhulaiya. I don't remember why not, but I have seen the second one, which was only worth watching for Taboo, in my opinion.
She was amazing.
She's amazing. The rest of it's totally forgettable. Yeah. I'm not a fan of that, but I think I should watch the first one, because whatever version, like I know there's the Hindi is a remake and whatever, I should watch at least just for Vidya.
The original is really good. Vidya is amazing in that. Akshay Kumar is amazing as usual.
I think I have, because that original is Malayalam, right?
Yes, with
I
Shobana.
have seen that. I have seen that.
I think it's called
Um,
Mani Chitratal.
yeah. Um, I liked Stree very much. I even liked it so much I showed it for an event for the museum where I work. That was really fun. We had a discussion. I like Ruhi. I know you do not, but I liked that fine. I liked Boot Police. If you haven't seen Boot Police, it's really cute. It's mostly a comedy more than anything else. And anyone who can find a good way to use Arjun Kapoor is more creative than others because he's bad, but he's pretty good in that, I would say.
Okay.
And I also really like well, we can get into non-comedies too later, but yeah, there's some other and of course, so I don't know where you want to slot the Ramsey Brothers movies because they obviously do have a dose of comedy in them, but I don't think most of them probably count as horror comedies, but I do love those. I can never remember which one is which, but I really enjoy those. So
They all sort of blend together into each other, don't they?
for me,
And
they
I've
do.
never,
Yeah.
yeah, and I've never gotten a Ramsey Brothers movie like from a movie library, like when I was growing up, because first of all, I would never have been allowed. But every Ramsey brother I've ever seen, every Ramsey Brothers movie I've ever seen was late night on cable TV where you're just like mindlessly scrolling and you want
Sure.
to see something and then you see this creaky door and there's always like this old caretaker. They always had these like schlock. It was like paint by numbers. And one thing that always puzzled me, and I still don't know the answer to this, there was always a very foolish but sexy woman, and she would
Sure.
always wear like a flimsy nightgown, like a white silky nightgown, and she would always go for a walk in the middle of the night. And even me, as a foolish preteen, like I was like 10 or 11, I'd be like, okay, why you gotta wear a flimsy nightgown, which is like basically transparent, and go for a walk in the middle of the night in this weird place? Like, who does that? So, the Ramsey Brothers movies, basically, I would just like hate watch them and like eat snacks late at night and just be like, what is happening? But they weren't that scary because like
No.
the special effects and everything was like so bad. Um, but you seem to enjoy them.
Oh, I do. Yeah, I very much enjoy those. But yeah, I can't tell you which one is which. And partly that's because very few of them are subtitled, but yeah, no, I always enjoy
Although, do you
those.
need subtitles for a Ramsey Brothers movie?
This
Is
is
what
the
I would
thing. I mean, I'm
ask.
sure I'm missing some things, but I love those. I love I mean, a lair, a basement lair. I'm here for that. That kind of stuff is right up my alley. So what about non-comedy horror films from India? Do you watch some? Sounds like you watch some.
I've seen some of the older like Ram Gopal Verma movies. I thought those were good, like Urmila and Bhoot. Bhoot was fun. Wasn't there also a movie she did that was called Con? That
Mhm.
was interesting. I think I've seen Vastu Shastra once that had Sushmita Sen in it, and that
Hmm.
was good also, but it hasn't stayed with me. But Bhoot and Con were pretty good. I don't know if this movie would be categorized as horror. Maybe it is, but I like the really old Madhuri Dixit Jackie Shroff movie, 100 Days. Have you seen that one?
I have seen that. I really
It's
liked
so
it. I thought it
fun.
was
I
good.
really
Yeah.
like it. I love that little jump scare where they find the skeleton in the wall and I'm like, ah!
Okay,
That's a really entertaining one.
speaking of Jackie Schroff, I want to
Mhm.
know why Jackie Schroff was not in Zombivli, like being his weird, drunk, whatever he is self. Like he would have made an excellent, like 30-second
Right?
guy on the street. He gets infected. He beats somebody up, says something nonsensical. That's it. But I really wanted him.
You know what Jackie Chef should do? We should somehow manage, like through our connections or whatever, to get a message to him. He should have his own talk show.
Oh,
That's what I've
Lord.
always thought. Don't you think that would be so good? Like conversations with Jagu Dada, and it would
I
just be
mean,
like Jackie Chef just
that
expounding.
the promotional stuff he did with Anil Kapoor for AK versus AK was so funny.
He's just a funny guy.
Yeah.
Half the time I don't know what he's saying,
No,
but like I'm there for it. I'm interested. I'm like, please say more. I'll catch up.
good sir. Yeah, I wrote my notes say Jackie Schroff's chaotic energy would have been good in a cameo as an early zombie.
Chaotic energy is correct. Have you noticed, and I'm trying to think if this is just specific to Indian horror or if it's also a thing in Western horror, because I really think like Hollywood horror films are so much better than Indian horror movies are. But why is it that so many of the horror movies in India, especially like the older ones, have it's always the same plot of like there's this woman that's been wronged. Bulbulaya 2 does the same thing, where it's like, well, also so does 1. A woman has been wronged, and then she has to come back from the dead, and now she's trying to exact revenge. And then as long as the evildoers have been like punished, then her soul can be like mollified or whatever. She stops haunting people. But that just seems to be like such a basic trope in Indian horror films. Is it
I mean,
possibly because women are treated badly? I wonder why.
well, yeah, I was gonna say there's that, and there's also the like an uncontrollable woman is what could be more scary, you know.
Yes.
Speaking of uncontrollable women, do we love Bulbul? Because I love Bulbul.
Yes,
That's
Bulbul
by
was
far
so
my
good. But
favorite
Bulbul is
Indian
again
scary film.
so good. But again, it's in that same category as Tumbad in the sense
Oh yeah.
that it was so traumatizing and frightening, and I do not want to watch it again. But it was so good. I loved it. It was traumatizing for other reasons than Tumbad was,
Yeah.
but still, it was so like the sexual violence in it. I did not see that coming, but it was so satisfying. Like at the end, when I mean, you kind of at some point pieced it together where you were like, you know, who the ghost or the evil spirit or whatever is.
Yeah.
But I also thought it was so pretty. It was such a
It's
beautiful movie. And the outfits, and I want to see more of Tripti Dimri. I don't
I
understand why
know.
we haven't seen more of her. I thought she was really good. And I forget what the other actress's name was, but she was so
That's
eerie, the sister-in-law.
Pauli Dam.
Yes, Paulidam. She was so eerie, and Rahul Bose was so good in it. Like
Terrifying.
everyone in the movie was good. That was a good movie, but I actually don't know very many people who've seen it, which is disappointing.
I have made many people watch it, and I will continue to do so. So listeners, if you have not seen Bulbul on Netflix, please watch it. It's really, really, really good. And it has
Yeah.
its aesthetics, I would say, are very largely Bengali cinema, which for me
Yeah.
works super well. You know, the crumbling Haveli Zamindar stuff is has some specificity to it that is really, really cool.
Also the clothes and the
Oh,
jewelry.
gorgeous.
Every single print, every single frame, I was just like, oh, that's so pretty. That's so pretty. Unfortunately, the prettiness also lulled me into like not like I would just be like, oh, and then I'd be like, oh gosh, that is terrible. But Bobo is kind of like, yeah, it is a bit disastrous, you know, in just in terms of how it makes you feel.
Mm.
But that one's a really good movie too. Um, my favorite zombie movie, actually, by far, and I know you haven't seen it, and you must. I'm such an evangelist for this movie. Is Train to Busan.
Isn't it very scary
No,
though?
well, it's not as scary as Tumbad. Nothing
Oh,
is as
oh,
scary as
okay.
Tumbad. If you can handle Tumbad, you can handle Train to Busan. It's just
Mm.
brilliant cinema. It's just so well made, and it was my introduction to Korean cinema and Korean shows, which I'm very grateful for. Because after I watched Train to Busan, I just went down this rabbit hole of watching everything Korean I could find. It's just so well made, and I did hear that they were gonna make a Hollywood remake, which I was like, no, do not destroy Train to Busan. It's
No,
perfect.
sure.
But then it was shelved, so I was happy about that. But you must watch it. It is the best zombie movie I've seen by far.
I just did a quick Google for Indian zombie movies, and
Mhm.
there are some more that we are not aware of, which is interesting. But also, you know, these Wikipedia lists, sometimes you're like, that's not what that is, my friend. So, but yeah, so viewers out there who are into this, please report back on other zombie movies that you have seen. I wanted to talk about what is causing the zombification or whatever in both the movies, because I think that's, you know, that's always some social commentary and all that. That's super interesting. So in, you know, Go Goa Gone, it's imported drugs, which is
Yeah.
just perfect. Like that's so funny. It's so specific when one of them is like globalization, you know.
Right.
So really funny to me. But in Zombivli, I thought that was you know, we have the evil capitalism and stealing the water and all, and the fact that the
Yeah.
thing that he steals is then the thing that defeats him in the end, which was
Yeah.
really interesting. But
I
I also
actually
thought
really like that.
in there, I also wondered, so in Zombie, there are way fewer women we see as zombies, right? And that's kind
Yes.
of interesting to think about, because it took a while to see any women zombies. And at first I thought, oh, maybe they can't get infected, but they were. But then
Yeah.
obviously we have a major character who's very pregnant. and she's obviously supposed to be kind of a fighter by nature. She's, she said
Yeah,
she
she's
speaks.
always cussing.
Yeah. But then I was wondering, like, is there a little bit of commentary there on, pregnancy
Mm.
as zombification? I'm sure that's been done in other places, like pregnancy as
Yeah.
disease is an interesting thing. And then like the ferocious protector mother figure that she
Mhm.
is. And yet they don't really do a whole lot of, I mean, they talk about, he's like, I want you and the baby to survive. I don't care if I survive or whatever, but there's not a
Yeah.
whole lot of playing to that kind of emotion. And then we do see the baby in the end, but that's a fairly minor detail. And I was so glad that she does not go into labor during the zombie thing. I thought for sure she
No.
would, but she doesn't. So I appreciate
Yeah.
that they didn't do that. So
I was sure
kind
that
of,
she wouldn't.
there was some kind of interesting stuff maybe going on with what, femininity and motherhood or something in there, but I'm not sure what exactly.
I like the fact that they kind of like subverted the tropes where the husband, played by Amir Vag, is the one who's kind of like cowardly and doesn't really like, he's very passive and he never wants to pick fights. And he just is very like, go with the flow, keep your head down and do your work sort of a person. And it's his wife who seems so like pretty and nice and decent and girl next door. And she's the one who has a potty mouth. And she's the one who, like, on the surface, she just seems like a certain vanilla kind of a person, but she's really the one who is spine. And I actually really appreciated the fact that she's the one who actually rescues him when they come in that big like fire truck. And I love the guy that the gamer boy who's like always, playing with his little like set or whatever. He's the one who really like orchestrates the whole thing. So I don't know if there was necessarily a deep commentary there, but I did like the fact that the guy didn't, because to me it would have been very unbelievable if Amir Vag's character, who until then has been shown as this sort of shrinking violet, suddenly becomes really like bold and heroic and he takes everything on. Like that just doesn't make any sense to me. He's a coward until the end, but he will stand up for his, work for his wife, and he cares about her and the baby, but he's still not someone that's going to take unnecessary risks. And one of my favorite scenes in the movie where he's in the car and it's surrounded by all these zombies and they're like beating on it and he's terrified and he pulls things out of his wallet and he's showing them different pictures of gods. Like he's like showing them different things and then he's saying different mantras and he's trying to see which one will work. And of course, none of it works. And he's genuinely disappointed. He's like, none of these are working. And I'm like, how are you a grown man? You're so naive. But I just thought he was so endearing because of his naivete.
And one of the characters in Go Goa Gone does a quick prayer as well, which I had forgotten. So that was a nice.
I think it's Kunal Khemu who does that.
Yeah, it's a nice little aside. I also want to applaud Zombivli for its zombie dance number because I'm a child. I was a little kid when Thriller came out. That is by far my most formative and earliest zombie experience comes from watching Thriller over and over.
You should be Michael Jackson from Thriller for Halloween. Do it.
Yeah, I'm a middle-aged white lady, so I'm not going to do that.
It doesn't matter. For Halloween, you can be anyone. You should wear a red sequin suit for Halloween.
That was so, like, to see them finally do that. That was so great. And it had me, I love that Go Goa Gone opens with the Chiranjeevi number and everything. Like, yes, correct. That's what should happen. So I'm really glad that they did that. And there was actually, when they're kind of having a big fight with the zombies in the water warehouse, I was like, this would be a really good place for a dance number. In other movies, there would be a dance number right here, like a fight dance, But that was really, really.
That was a missed opportunity, I have to admit.
I mean, I can see why they put it in the end, and this is clearly not a big musical number sort of film, and that's okay. Right. But I am glad that they tossed that little bone, and then they had someone dressed in Michael Jackson sort of way. So that was
that was funny.
Was good.
What do you like any of the Hollywood horror movies? Because I think Hollywood by far does it so much better.
I can't watch them. I mean, I've seen some of the very early. What's the very earliest zombie movie? Is it Night of the Living Dead?
Probably.
Yeah, so I've seen that. I've seen. Oh my God, why am I blanking on the one that's set in San Francisco and everyone's getting infected? It's not exactly zombies.
I think I know which one you mean, but I haven't seen it, so I don't remember the name.
With Jeff Goldblum. Yeah, I don't really. I scare very easily, so I tend not to watch these things. I've seen a couple of Stephen King films and they were too scary for me.
Have you
I do
watched The Mist?
no.
Oh my God, it is a gut punch. It is so good. I read the
No.
book. It's also
Mm,
Stephen King. It is so good, Beth, especially the ending. Like, I won't spoil it for you, but you should see. It's actually not terrifying in like a scenes sort of way.
mm,
It's terrifying in the way that Bulbul is terrifying
okay.
in
And those are
in
the
the
better
social
for me.
commentary
That's
aspect.
not that
Yes.
those are easy to watch, but those are easier to watch. Why am I'm gonna look
They're
up the name
easy
of
to
this.
watch, but they disturb you more
Yeah, very,
afterwards.
very disturbing.
But you should watch The Mist if you can.
Yeah, I may not be able to. Why can't I find what is the
The
what is the
zombies ate your the zombies ate your internet.
oh, the zombies maybe did eat my internet. I yeah, I just scare really easily. I love a suspenseful. I'm always game to watch a Hitchcock or something like that. Although I was terrified by Psycho the first time I saw it, because I was 14 or something,
Scary.
which for
It's
me was too
scary.
young. Um, but yeah, I don't. I think the idea that humans enjoy being scared, or like we enjoy we need a controlled setting to experience fear. Like I think that's kind of fascinating psychologically. It just doesn't, that's not one that motivates me. But it sounds like you are more brave than I and will dabble in some of these
No. So
films.
here's the thing. I'm a complete out and out coward, complete coward. Like, I also scare easy. I'm very jumpy and all those things. And especially when I lived in a very, very sketchy neighborhood in Atlanta, I would take my dog everywhere. Like, I would literally take my dog to like supermarkets and gas stations because I just lived in an extremely dangerous area. It was like one of the worst
Mm,
non-gentrified at that point parts of Atlanta, very seedy. And I'm just like a coward in general. But that's precisely why I like horror.
mm,
It's also why I really enjoy monster movies because I know none of that is going to happen to me. And also, I don't believe in any of those things. So, like, I know Godzilla doesn't exist. I know
right.
zombies don't exist. I know ghosts don't exist. So, it's fine. It's like, okay, I can see other people going through all this bullshit. Meanwhile, I'm cozy and I'm eating Doritos. Like yesterday, I was watching Go Goa Gone and I was so cozy. I sent you a picture. I was wearing like my bubblegum pink fleece.
You guys cannot believe how cozy she looked. She was like, she was set, she was well protected by her kitty cat and her fuzzy loungewear. Like all was good.
It was so good. I had my snacks. I had like a bowl of snacks. It was wonderful. Like, yeah, okay, there's a zombie outbreak on my TV, but what do I care? I'm not the one who's being hunted down and like eaten and stuff. So I love the idea of horror movies, also monster movies, because I know none of those bad things are going to happen to me because those things don't exist. What is far more frightening to me, and I will not watch, are the gangs of Wasseypur kind of movies because
Oh,
I know that those people do exist, and that's way more frightening. I am so happy that our podcast is not popular because I guarantee you there would be so many fanboys and fangirls who'd be like, "What do you mean
yeah.
you haven't seen Gangs of Wasseypur? Well, it's scary. I don't want to watch that shit."
Yeah.
But I
I've
watch
seen it. It's
it,
not for me.
right? It's just like, yeah, it's just gonna make me feel unhappy and
Men
depressed.
have
Like, why
issues
don't
and
you that
shoot
in
each
my
other.
life?
Like, okay.
Don't need that.
I don't like Westerns either though. So
I
like
don't either.
that's, that's not
I just
my,
think they're silly.
yeah.
But my favorite Hollywood horror movies are probably there's three of them, and I watched them multiple times. I watched The Omen, so good.
Oh
Um,
no. Oh no.
have you seen it? It's
No,
so
no,
good.
no, 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 no.
No,
I
it's
couldn't
not
handle that.
scary. No, it's very atmospheric
I
and
mean, even the music
suspenseful.
is scary.
Well, yeah, but it's not that like it's not gross. It's just it's very entertaining and atmospheric and like you should see it. It's good. And then I love Rosemary's Baby.
Oh, I've seen that. That was good.
That is good. That is so good. And then I saw so when I lived in New York, I saw that building where Mia Farrow used to live, and I was like, oh, that's Rosemary's Baby's mama or whatever, or that's Rosemary's Baby. And then I also really like The Exorcist.
That's very effective too. I've seen that as well.
Very good. So I have a funny story about Exorcist. So when I was growing up, I lived in rural Nigeria, and the only way we didn't have movie theaters or anything. The only way you could watch movies is if you went to the Indian grocery store uncle, and he would give you like little cassettes. It's not like we had Blockbuster or Hollywood Video,
Sure.
and you would, get cassettes from him. And so my parents wanted to watch Exorcist, so they got that, and I really wanted to watch it, and my parents were like, no, 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 you can't watch it. And then one night they were out for like a cocktail party or something, so I watched it. My nanny was with me and she didn't stop me, so I watched it. And then I spent the entire week afterwards crying at night. I refused to go to bed. I slept in my parents' bed, tantrums every single night. It was the worst thing ever. Couldn't go to school because I was sleep deprived. It was a disaster.
Oh,
And my parents were so upset with me. But here's the thing, I never learned because
I
I'm
was gonna
stupid.
say.
I am. I don't learn. So I regretted, I regretted my decision, as did my parents and my nanny. Everyone regretted this decision. But about 2 months later, I was chatting with my best friend and I wanted to be cool. And I said, have you seen The Exorcist? And she said, absolutely not. My parents would never let me. I was like, I have it. She's like, you do? And I said, I have the cassette. My parents forgot to return it to the grocery store uncle. And she's like, should we watch it? And I was like, yeah, let's do it. So my mom was in the kitchen. My dad was somewhere, I don't know where. So we locked the door to my bedroom and we put Exorcist in the thing. And the first few whatever scenes came on, and then it became Mary Poppins. My dad had recorded Mary Poppins over the cassette because he did not trust me. He was like, I know what kind of devil spawn I have produced, and this child will try to watch this movie again. So he had re-recorded it with Mary Poppins. And so I lost all street cred that day. So
You
it is very
sure
sad.
did. That's amazing. Salute your father. That is such good parenting.
It was like, there's no point in teaching this child because she never learns from her mistakes. So we'll just give her a rude shock, a rude awakening when
That's
she tries
really
to watch this
funny.
movie again. Yeah, so that is my exorcist turned Mary. We just watched Mary Poppins. It was fine.
I mean, if you're gonna be not get the movie you wanted, getting Mary Poppins is a pretty good.
Yeah, you can just sing along to the suffragettes. I mean, that's fun.
Yeah.
Okay, are we excited for Bedia?
Yeah. And now, is there a trailer out yet at the time of this
No,
recording? No. Okay.
I've only seen the poster, and it looks really cool. There's Varun Dhawan doing this, and we know we love Varun Dhawan, except when
We
he
do.
does stupid shit like Jurva. And there's like sort of like an outline of what I assume is a werewolf underneath him. So I'm very excited to see it. And apparently it's being marketed as like a horror comedy. So
Okay.
I'm hoping it's going to be more like 3 and not as much as Ruhi, which I did not enjoy. Although I do like Rajkumar Rao very much. So I kind of wish that it was releasing at the end of this month in time for
Yeah.
Halloween, but it's coming out at end of November because India is like, what is Halloween? We don't know.
That's fair.
But yeah, I'm excited for Bedia. I really do think you should watch The Mist and you should watch Train to Busan, by the way.
So not too long ago, I thought I'll try to rewatch X-Files. And I watched the first one, whatever episode I chose, I started at night and I lived by myself. I was like, oh, this was a bad idea, Beth Watkins. Why are you doing this? So I will see. I always need a safety buddy for scary movies. So
just adopt a kitten or a dog, you'll be fine, Beth.
my teddy bear is on the standby, ready for,
Well,
yeah.
Well, in horror movies, teddy bears always reanimate. So I don't know if you should trust your teddy bear.
I am in the middle of a truly international watch along of Papiguria, which I've seen one of the later ones, but I haven't seen that one. So, but I fully expect that not to be scary. So I think I can handle it. But I've never seen Child's Play. Like, oh, absolutely not.
Oh, so Child's Play. I had a friend who really loved that movie. I have very questionable friends, clearly. So she loved Child's Play. And one time I said something to her to the effect of like, why have you watched this movie so many times? Like, you're weird. And she was like, oh, I haven't just seen Child's Play. I've also seen Bride of Chucky. I was like, what the heck is that? So that is the sequel where apparently Chucky the doll gets married because apparently even Chucky can get married.
Sure.
So that one's called Bride of Chucky. And then I was like, that's disgusting. Who would marry Chucky? He's horrible. And then she goes, oh, that's nothing. They have a child too. I was like, what the fuck? So it's called Seed of Chucky.
Ew.
So apparently she watched all three movies. I'm sure there's like grandchild of Chucky where Chucky's like grandpappy or something. I'm sure they exist.
Mm,
We should Google this for research.
mm, I don't need to know.
Okay. Well, let's wrap up this episode. What movies do you think that that our viewers should see?
I mean, if you haven't seen Bulbul, watch Bulbul. It's truly, truly excellent. I mean, probably everyone's seen that and Stree. Um, and I mean, I'll be true to myself. Pull out a Ramsey Brothers movies. They're all super fun, and you'll enjoy the monster makeup and count how many times the lady in her nightie runs through the woods for no reason. And it's a good time, and it's a great way to see either people who were almost famous but not quite, or who used to be famous who kind of come through some of these movies. So, if Aruna Irani does it, it can't be all bad, in my opinion.
Right. Which reminds me, we need to do a Vamps episode at some
Yes.
point because our common friend Lancharoni, when I had told her long ago that we were going to start a podcast, the first thing she sent me was a direct message. It was in all caps and it said, please do an episode on Vamps.
I mean,
And
I
I
think
was like,
that's a mini
"That's a good idea."
series, there's so many great
Right?
vamps.
That's wonderful. So many. We love our vamps.
We do.
I would suggest to our viewers that if you have the stomach for truly scary horror, but it is such a great cinematic experience, you have to watch The Mud. It is hands down the best horror movie I've seen come out of India, to the point that I think it should have been India's entry for the Oscars, and it's not.
Wow.
Because they always send bad movies, except for Jeans. I stand by the Indian jury sending Jeans to the Oscars. I'm the only one who feels that way. You should also watch Train to Busan, which is so good. You should watch 3, and if you are planning to watch Bhedia, let us know how you feel about it, because Beth and I will probably watch Bhedia because we like Varun Dhawan when he's being funny and not annoying. So don't forget to like, share, subscribe, write us your comments. I read all of your YouTube comments, and then I also respond, so we can get like some good chatter going on over there. And thank you for watching Filmi Ladies.
Bye.